I decided to do the video over on how to tie a feathered treble hook. Had a few comments on my channel. One of the comments was the lighting wasn't the greatest. Did the original video at a cabin in Montauk, and anybody that's been to a fishing cabin knows that the lighting's not the greatest. Another comment I had was they couldn't tell how I captured the thread onto the hook. Third comment I had was the camera wasn't close enough to the vise. They couldn't quite tell exactly what I'm doing. So I decided to make this video over and hopefully eliminate some of those problems. I also wanted to explain to you some of the tools and the materials that I use to tie this. First thing you're going to need is a bobbin. Bobbin holds your thread, and I'm using Danville 210. It's just a flat wax nylon. I'm typically using white or red to tie this certain fly. The bobbin is just for holding the thread. Like I said, it has a ceramic tube that's hollow. It's kind of like a coffee stir. And the way you want to load this bobbin up is you just want to take your thread and run it in the back side of it. And once you get it about halfway, you're just gonna suck through there. You just like drinking out of a straw. You just suck through there, and it pulls the thread, forces the thread through there, and then you're ready to go. Next thing you're gonna need is a good pair of scissors for cutting your material. You'll also need a whip finishing tool. This is to tie the whip finishing knot, and you're going to use that right at the end of your fly. You'll also need some clear fingernail polish. Doesn't really matter which brand. Most people use head cement, but I don't tie a lot of flies, and when I sit down to tie a fly, my head cement's always hardened. So when I was at Bass Pro Shops in Springfield a while back, a guy recommended this clear fingernail polish, and it works great. It's got a little brush in there for an applicator, and you can spread it all over your thread. So clear fingernail polish. As far as materials, I already mentioned the Danville 210. It's great for jigs and streamers, heavy flies. You also need some hackle feather. I'm typically using these front feathers right here. They're just about the right length and the right rigidity, stiffness. And lastly, you're going to need some Flashabou. Makes a great mustache too. I like the silver Flashabou. It comes just like this in a plastic bag, and it's got a little zip tie, cable tie to keep it all together. And you'll just cut pieces off of each side. And this is about the perfect length to wrap around the thread to tie this fly. I hope this video helps you guys out. It's a pretty simple tie. You can just practice it a few times and you'll get it down in no time. It's going to save you a lot of money. These feather treble hooks cost like $3 in the store, and you can tie them for 50 to 75 cents probably once you get your material. You also need a vise too. You don't need anything fancy, just something that holds your hook good and clamps down to the table properly. So let's get to the tying part. Before I do, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you don't have a YouTube account, it's real easy to set up. Just go to YouTube. You just create an account by using an email address and a password. And anybody that you watch on YouTube and you like their content, subscribe. It really means a lot. It lets us know that you care about our material. That's a good way of supporting us. Smash the like button. You can hit the little bell. That's the notification. Anytime there's a video released, you automatically get notification of that video. Let's get to tying.
Alright, first thing let me show you about this treble hook. This is a 2/0 treble hook, and if you notice, there's a little area where the weld, I don't know if you can see, but this hook's been welded on. You want to turn that over, and you want to use this flat side. The flat side needs to be up in your vise, and that's how you're going to start. You're going to place it in there. I've already placed this one in there. it's going to be like that. The weld is on the back side. You need this flat spot up. Alright, so I'm going to be using yellow thread. Hopefully it'll show up a little bit better for you guys. So the first thing you're going to do is you want to capture this thread on your shank. So you use like a cross pattern, and you'll wrap around and you'll wrap back across that thread back towards the bend of the hook. You just keep wrapping, and I'm going to wrap about 10 or 12 times. And once I get my wraps in, I'm going to come back up to the eye. And then I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut this little tag off. Okay, here's my feathers. If you notice, feather has a natural curvature. You're going to want that curvature to be facing out on the hook. And you're going to lay that feather and you're going to kind of measure it, eyeball it. And you want this to stick off the back probably about 1 inch. So that's looking good right here. So I need to trim it off right here, which is what I'm going to do. So I just take my scissors and I'll just cut it off right there. And then I want to pull off some of this fluff, because I want to have the stem, which is this little section, to tie in. It's just creates more of a firm tie-in spot. So I'm going to lay this feather on my hook like this, and I'm just going to wrap about 5 times just to capture that feather in. Once I get it captured, I'll come back up to the eye again. That's always your starting point, is your eye. And you're going to take another feather. You're going to do the same thing. Kind of lay it on there with your curvature out and get your spot that you like. So I'm going to cut it off about right here. That's looking good. Then I'm going to take this fluff, pull some of this fluff back, give me a good tie-in spot. Now I'm going to wrap this feather on the back side of the hook. So I'm going to lay it on there. I'm just going to make about 4, 5, 6 wraps. This thread's a little tricky. I'm not used to this kind of thread. I usually use Danville 210 like I mentioned earlier. Going to grab my third feather. Going to measure it off. It's looking good about right there. Take my scissors. Just going to cut it off. Strip a little bit of this fluff. Now I'm going to go on the inside. Same thing. Going to make about 4, 5, 6 wraps just to capture it. Okay, now you've got your feather base. So the next part of this is to add your Flashabou. So I've already pre-cut my Flashabou. So I'm going to start out with 3 strands. Kind of get these lined up here. And then you're going to take these strands and you're going to just wrap them around your thread like this. Pinch them right here. Take your other hand, grab all this material. I kind of pinch it right here again to get it firmed up. So this is wrapped around the thread. So I'm going to go back up in here. I'm going to start at the top and wrap this section first. The same thing. I'm just going to wrap 4 to 5 times. This is real important. You want to wrap all the way back to the end of your thread and where your feathers start. This helps the Flashabou lay straight. So once I go there, I'm going to go back up to the eye. Okay, I've got that in. I'm going to grab 3 more strands. Got them right here. Going to wrap them around my thread. Pinch it. And I'm going to go on the back side with this wrap. So go all the way around your hook. I'm going to start right here. Same thing. Gonna make 3 or 4 or 5 wraps. Go all the way back to the feathers and back up to the top. That's tied in. Now I'm going to get 3 more strands. Gonna wrap them. And we're going to go on the inside. We're just going to capture this material. 4 or 5 wraps. Back to the feathers. And back up towards the eye. Now we're going to use this handy little tool. It's called the whip finishing tool. And we're going to tie a whip finishing knot. So to do that, you're going to lay this tool like this. And you're going to rotate that, and you're going to make a little triangle. And you're wrapping that triangle around the eye of the hook. And I'm going to make 3 wraps with that. And then I'm just going to pull up, and the thread will pop off the bottom of that thing like this. And then you just pull your bobbin down, and it tightens that knot and slide that hook out. Just kind of pull it tight. And that broke off. I wasn't supposed to do that. So I would do that one more time. I'm going to do 2 finishing knots. Since that thread broke, like I said, this is not the normal thread that I use, but that's okay. So your final step is going to be to use some fingernail polish, some clear fingernail polish. And what I will do, just get some of that juicy goodness on there, on that little applicator. And I'm just going to dabble it on the thread like this. I'll probably go in and get a little bit more. Go into the bottom, get the sides, and this stuff will really soak up in that thread. That keeps your knot from unraveling. And you know, like when you catch a lot of fish, their teeth are gonna try to unravel that stuff. I've got some of this thread that broke off right here, so I'm gonna try to cut that. Okay, so that's basically it. Your final step is just going to be to trim this Flashabou. So you want it about half the length of your feathers. So I'll just grab that, slide my scissors in there, just cut that off, come over here, cut that off, and then come over here on the back side and cut that off. I think I got one more laying there. Now it looks like I got them all. So that is your finished product. That's a feather treble hook. Take it out of the vise and give you a look at it. And you're going to let this probably dry for 10 or 15 minutes, and then it should be good to go. So there you go. That's the bottom of it. Sides. It's a little bit rough because the thread broke, but you get the basic idea of it. So just 3 feathers. I used 9 strands of Flashabou, yellow thread, and nail polish on a size 2 EWG treble hook. These are great on the back of walking baits, which it's that time of year. It's fall, and that's what's gonna work for you. I do got a little piece here that I need to trim. There we go. So there you go. There's the finished product. Feathered treble hook. Pretty easy tie. Takes about 10 minutes. Once you get the materials, it probably costs 50 to 75 cents. The most expensive part is the actual hook itself. You know, the material's pretty cheap. So I hope this helps, guys. Hope you were able to see this a lot better. Like it, share it, comment. Let me know if you're able to tie this. If you got any questions about where to get the material, I recommend Feathercraft Fishing Supplies. They're out of St. Louis, Missouri. They've got a really good selection of stuff. They're really friendly people. Like I said, appreciate the time. Subscribe if you haven't. Share it, all that good stuff. And I hope you catch some fish on this thing. Until next time.